Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I let my father and his wife live free for years in my house that I inherited from my grandfather. I lived somewhere else. He had to follow one rule to live free in the house: to not touch my room and my grandfather's office. I paid for everything except for their food and entertainment. After living there for 7 years, he thought he was the owner of the house. A few weeks ago, he let his stepdaughter move in without consulting me. There was an empty room for her, but he wanted to give her my room. He had the courtesy to call me and tell me to get my things out of my room so she could move there. I refused and told him she could use the empty room, but I guess it wasn't enough. I went to the house only to find that he changed the locks and was not going to let me in unless I agreed to what he wanted. Long story short, I kicked him out. Lawyer and police involved. I thought my father's misdeeds were over, as the house was the last thing that was keeping our relationship alive. But I was wrong. We hadn't heard from him until a few days ago when he showed up at the house. I wasn't there, but my girlfriend was. My girlfriend told me that my father was there to tell us that since we are now living in the house, we have to host him for the Christmas holidays. Not only that, he gave her a list of the food they wanted and the gifts they expected to receive. My girlfriend told him to go away before she called the police. I again thought it was over, but I was wrong again. Yesterday, we received another visit from him. Apparently, he called my mother to invite her to spend the holidays with us. She blew him off and told him that she will take us, me and my girlfriend, to Europe for New Year's Eve. He had the balls to demand she take them to. My mother just hung up. Mind you, this was the first time they had spoken after divorcing 16 years ago. He came to the house to demand I convince my mother to take them too, or that we pay for them to go with us. At this point, his attitude stopped being disappointing and turned comical. My girlfriend and I just laughed at him. We laughed so hard that we didn't notice when he left. I can say that we didn't have the best relationship, but he wasn't entitled. I mean, it was already clear why my grandfather, his father, was completely disappointed in him. But it seemed that he wants to take it to another new level. I don't know if he will stop, but I hope he does for the rest of the year. Edit. I have a security system. There are cameras everywhere. I know if he's there. I have other properties, my tenants and people close to my girlfriend and me. Even my neighbors know what to do if my father approaches them in my name. I doubt he'll try to break in when we're not here. When I evicted them, my lawyer and the police were more than clear that he could face serious problems if he tries to enter the house or any other of my properties. Unfortunately, in my country, any kind of restraining order is pretty much useless. It is more helpful to call the police right then and there, and he knows I have no problem calling them. This is an update to the previous story. After the last incident with my father, everything was quiet and my girlfriend and I left to Europe. Christmas passed and there was no sight of my father. My friends that were taking care of the house reported no incidents. Everything was going well until I received a call from my uncle, father's brother, on December 28th. My uncle called me to tell me that he's leaving the state and is selling his house. He asked me if I was interested in the house because he was pretty desperate to leave. He didn't tell me the reason why he was leaving, and I didn't care. What matters to me is that he was desperate and this was the opportunity to fulfill my grandpa's wish. Before I continue, I have to give you some context. My uncle's house was my grandfather's childhood home. My grandpa gave it to him but later regretted it. He left me the task of recovering it, and if I succeeded, to give it to my cousin Mary, my uncle's daughter from his first marriage. He never recognized her, and that is one of the many reasons for my grandpa's regret. My uncle doesn't know that I have contact with his daughter or that I know everything that happened in the past. If he did, he wouldn't sell me the house. Yes, he is that pity. Now, I decided to use a family card in my uncle's desperation to get the house cheap. I know more or less the value of the house, so I made him an offer, way below the real value, but that I was going to pay him in 3 installments. My uncle declined because it was too low and because he's not coming back. What he really meant is that he's not going to contact me again. I told him that if he could wait until my return, January 3rd, I could pay him the same amount in one go. But I would also take care of the legal fees and his moving expenses. Meanwhile, he just needed to pack his things, have his paperwork ready, and everything would be done that day. Surprisingly, he immediately agreed. We returned and I could buy the house without problems, and my uncle left the same day. The next day, I called my cousin to tell her to come as soon as she can to my country. She lives in Europe. Because there is one more thing that my grandparents left to her. She came a few days ago and I gave her the house and the rest of the money. She had to stay a few days to deal with paperwork, and in those days, who decided to appear once again? Yes, my father. Unbeknownst to me, my uncle had another buyer and that person was my father. My father asked my uncle to wait a few days so he could gather more money. When he got it, he called my uncle, but he already sold me the house. My uncle, in order to avoid dealing with my father, told him that I bought the house. My father, knowing that he can no longer approach my house, decided to go to my new one. But he was going to receive a surprise. He knocked and demanded that I give it to him, but no one is in there for the moment. So he decided to break in. Yes, he did. We saw everything through the doorbell camera. My cousin doesn't speak our language, so I was the one who called the police in her name. Thanks to the area where the house is, and the fact that my cousin is a foreigner, the police took action faster than the previous times. It is a pity that I don't have a photo of my father's face when he discovered that the house wasn't mine. It was glorious. My cousin, with my lawyer's help and mine, pressed charges, and combined with my father's previous actions, he will spend a few months in jail. Thanks to a few people, I was able to find out why my uncle was desperate to leave. He pissed off his wife's family, like really bad. I sent him a text telling him that if he likes to ratting me out to my father, I can do the same with his wife's family, so he better not come back unless he wants to play stupid games. He blocked me after that. He already told me he wasn't coming back, but I better make sure he doesn't. In the end, if my cousin decides to keep the house, this will benefit her since she doesn't want to cross paths with my uncle. So yeah, the year started off with a bang. I pretty much got rid of my so-called family for what I think is forever and can finally start building one with my girlfriend without the worry of unwanted people showing up. It was a busy Saturday night at the restaurant and I was working as a waitress. As I was walking around taking orders and serving food, I noticed a group of young adults sitting at a table near the back. They seemed excited but also a little rowdy. As I walked by, I overheard them discussing their plans to make a TikTok video. I thought nothing of it until I saw them standing on their table, dancing and singing horribly while their friends recorded them on their cell phones. The other customers in a restaurant were disturbed by the ruckus and started to complain. I quickly went to the manager and informed them of the situation. The manager, a kind and patient man, walked up to the group and asked them to stop standing on the tables and making such a noise. He explained that it was a disturbance to the other customers and that it was not appropriate behavior for a fine dining establishment. Karen, one of the group members, replied, "We're just trying to have some fun. What's the big deal?" The manager calmly replied, "I understand that you want to have fun, but please consider that there are customers here who are trying to enjoy their meals in peace and quiet. Your behavior is disrupting their experience." But the group didn't take kindly to being told what to do. They argued aggressively with the manager, refusing to stop their behavior. One of them, in a fit of anger, grabbed a cup of water and threw it at the manager, drenching him and causing a scene. The manager, now furious, asked them to leave the restaurant immediately and banned them from ever returning back. As they were leaving, Karen attempted to slap the manager, but little did she know that he was a black belt in karate. He expertly dodged her slap and quickly subdued her. His employees quickly called the police and the group was arrested and dragged out in handcuffs in front of everyone. The manager and the other customers were relieved, and the restaurant returned to its peaceful atmosphere. As a waitress, it was hard to witness such entitled and disrespectful behavior. It was a reminder that we should always treat each other with respect and dignity. Way back in the dark ages, I was in the military as an aviation electronics technician. One of our jobs was to perform preventative maintenance (PM) to make sure the electronics in the plane didn't fail prematurely. One of the hardest things to check on an old C-130 is the radar, since you had to raise the radome to access the radar antennae. Now, older C-130s have lots of flight hours, which means they also have lots of landings, and also takeoffs. The radomes are humongous and heavy. I'm talking like 8 feet high, 7 feet wide. Don't hold me to those numbers, this was a long time ago. There are 4 screws, top left and right, lower left and right, and the hinge on top so it can be lifted. Getting those 4 screws to line up on a slightly twisted and bent airplane can be difficult, very difficult. It usually takes 4 to 6 extra people pulling on straps to get the darn things aligned. Also in my service, there is a usually friendly rivalry between the electronics type, tweets, and the mechanics, nose pickers, and metalsmiths. I say usually, but at my new air station it was well beyond the friendly stage, to the point that the metalsmiths and nose pickers wouldn't even acknowledge the tweets, and vice versa. I had just checked in from a heavy maintenance overhaul facility and was placed on night check, the 4 midnight shift. This is the shift where most preventative maintenance is performed. I replaced the 2 tweets who had previously been assigned to night check. Once I started working the shift, I quickly found out a couple things. First, these 2 were either lazy or had everybody buffaloed. The workload that had previously been assigned to both of them, I was able to accomplish in about a half a shift, so I started asking for more work. The other thing I found out was that they were the epitome of tweets that couldn't stand the mechanics. I was not a fan of that game and quickly became friends with the mechanics by helping them when they were short-handed for major jobs. All the tweets versus mechanics nonsense stopped the night check chief came out and saw me up on a check stand on my hands and knees holding the weight of an aileron, another very big piece that forms most of the backside of the wing. It's used to turn the plane when it turns in the air. The chief bellowed, "Who's a new guy on a check stand?" "Oh, that's the new tweet we've been telling you about." "Well, don't let him screw anything up." That's about as close to a thank you for helping, or okay, he's accepted as it came with that guy. But I never had a problem with the mechanics again on night check. When I asked for more work, it began. The 2 previously assigned guys started rumors that I was doing shoddy work, and even worse, pencil whipping my work, signing it off but not performing the work. The chief in charge of assigning my work got wind of it and decided to perform a test to settle the rumors once and for all. He assigned me to perform radar PM. Okay, not a problem. I completed it, signed off the paperwork, and completed my shift. The next day I was met by my chief and several other people, including the 2 smirking tweets that were assigned to night check. I was accused of not possibly being able to complete the radar card since I didn't ask for extra bodies to close a radome. The malicious compliance. I had also heard the rumors that I had been pencil whipping my work and knew immediately what the chief was up to with the radar PM, and I wanted to make those 2 idiots look like dummies. So I just took the assigned work with a smile. Then I went to the night check chief and told him that I had to crack the radome tonight and asked for some help. He said no problem. Saying that radome was a witch is an understatement. It took us most of the night and me buying the beers after work to get it done. But it was way worth it. The fallout. Back to the next day after being outright accused of pencil whipping, I innocently asked what the chief was talking about asking for buddies to help me. They worked day shifts. Why would I ask people to help me on the night shifts? The chief replied because it takes extra people to close a radome. I again asked innocently, but why would I ask the day shift to help me on the night shift, when the night shift has plenty of people that can help me. What plenty of people? There is only you and you couldn't possibly close a radon by yourself. I smiled inward and said, I never said I did it myself. There were plenty of people who were mechanics. The two idiots both said they would never help. I looked at both of them and said, yet they did. And I don't like being accused of being a liar, performing shoddy work or pencil whipping my work. Where did those rumors come from anyway? Everyone just sort of stared at the two idiots and the chief said, be right back. Don't anyone leave. Few minutes later he returned and apologized for keeping me from my work. He had confirmed my story was a night check chief, and we were all dismissed except the two idiots. I didn't see those two much after that, but that was a fun tour of duty for me. I'm a server at a restaurant with back clientele, and today a family of 3 came in. Mom, dad, and 4-ish-year-old son. I offered the parents cocktails and appetizers like normal in order to hit my sales goals. They declined, but then, for whatever reason, after they ordered their food, they left their son alone at the table so they could get drinks at the bar top. This isn't normal, by the way. Normally, servers bring the drinks to guests. I had asked the bartender if they tipped well on their drinks after they returned to their seats. They both got 2 double-shot mixed drinks, and I've noticed bartenders get tipped slightly better than servers for whatever reason. So I was expecting to get maybe a slightly lower percent of what they gave him, but he had said they didn't tip him at all. So now I'm in a worrisome mood. I still have half of my service duties to provide for them, and I might be losing out on money on them. Since it wasn't busy, I decided to still quickly get them their things as quickly as possible, because they might have been just wanting to tip once for their meal or whatever. Pure hopium. After they pay, they didn't tip, so I don't even bother with asking if they needed anything else like boxes or drinks to go. But as I was going to tend my other tables, they stop me and say that it's the mom birthday and if they could have our free birthday dessert. I decided that I wasn't going to lose all dignity and be a pushover and give them what they want, especially because I hate singing happy birthday to guests for many reasons. However, I did not let our dessert cook know I needed the birthday dessert for them. I simply helped all of my other tables and watched this particular table slowly become less and less excited with anticipation of their free chocolate cake and ice cream. I reassured them it would be out shortly as many times as I could before they left empty-handed after they got the hint. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.